Well, eco-activist turned ego activist Greta Thunberg has humiliated herself.
We need you to keep all eyes on deck and to follow the mission and keep putting pressure on your respective governments and institutions to demand an end to the genocide and the occupation in Palestine.
She set out to break the Israeli blockade of Gaza, and the whole thing got comical quick.
Good morning, everyone, and good morning, Gaza. Today marks our 7th day at sea aboard the Madeleine. As you can see, we are still on our way, heading straight toward Gaza, with nothing but wind in our sails and purpose in our hearts.
Sails aren't even up there, are they? Was it a diesel-powered boat by any chance? Then the Israelis went to board the boat, so Greta released this pre-recorded video.
My name is Greta Thunberg and I am from Sweden. If you see this video, we have been intercepted and kidnapped in international waters by the Israeli occupational forces or forces that support Israel. I urge all my friends, family and comrades to put pressure on the Swedish government to release me and the others as soon as possible.
Oh no, gosh, she's been kidnapped. She's been kidnapped, everybody. Oh no. Here's what actually happened. She was kidnapped by a nice man with a sandwich. OK. And then it emerged that they'd apparently eaten a fair bit of the aid that they were bringing, and the rest of it will just be delivered to Gaza by aid agencies. And after her free trip to Tel Aviv, Greta will be deported back to, I don't know, Sweden, maybe. For all of the sheer performative vanity of the relentless social media posts like this.
We cannot afford to give up. There is simply too much at stake. And in times of injustice, as we are seeing now, the genocide and blockade happening, we have to do everything we can to demand an end to these atrocities and war crimes committed by Israel.
It turns out they hardly brought any aid with them, and Israel has sent 1,200 truckloads of aid into Gaza in the past fortnight alone, in addition to the 11 million meals delivered by the Gaza Humanitarian Foundation. Oh, and then, for all of their talk about being a humanitarian mission, this is them, apparently, ignoring a boatload of illegal immigrants. Sorry, desperate refugees. Oh, OK, it's almost like this is all just performative virtue signalling nonsense, isn't it? Let's get the thoughts of my panel this evening. We have got political commentator Emma Trimble. I'm also joined by former chairman of the Tory party, Sir Jake Berry, and another political commentator as well, Andy Twelves. Right, thank you very much, everybody, for joining us. Jake, I'll start with you on this. A day of humiliation for Greta Thunberg, really, do you think?
Well, absolutely. I mean, there are loads of reasons that this is just an absurd story. I mean, quite correctly, the Israeli authorities have pointed out this has been more about publicity than it has about aid. We found out that this boat, allegedly crammed full of supplies, had a few women's sanitary products and tampons there, really important, but they're already going into the Gaza Strip. And in fact, the minimal supplies that they had will be distributed to people in need in Gaza. And can I just say, actually, what a crass use of language by Greta Thunberg saying that she had been kidnapped when, you know, dozens of people still remain having been kidnapped by Hamas. And unlike Greta Thunberg, those people who were captured by Hamas, the group that she is really, even if unintentionally, supporting, you know, those people were raped, tortured, murdered. I mean, Greta Thunberg was put in a dinghy with a life jacket on and given a sandwich. You know, the Israeli officials, the IDF, have treated her exceptionally well, and she may be, you know, a pawn in Hamas's game, but she's allowed herself to be played, and it is frankly ridiculous.
I mean, this is it. I mean, the narrative was shattered there, really, in one fell swoop. I mean, there appeared to be some footage there of them ignoring a boatload of what they would deem to be refugees. I mean, why is that the case? You know, why did they swerve those people? Then you've also got the idea they were going to bring loads of aid. Well, that didn't happen. Her pre-recorded video about please lobby everyone for me to be free. The Israeli Israelis don't want it. They're like, here, have a sandwich, go home. But Emma, I'm going to put this clip to you because in the last few moments, President Trump has been speaking in the United States about Greta Thunberg. Here it is.
Well, she's a strange person. She's a young, angry person. I don't know if it's real anger. It's hard to believe, actually. But I saw what happened. She's certainly different. Anger management. I think she has to go to an anger management class.
Emma, your views on what President Trump had to say there?
She's certainly different. I mean, he's right. And it was actually not quite my first thought, but one of my first thoughts when seeing this disgusting video that she put out saying that she's been kidnapped, when, of course, the people who have been kidnapped weren't passed sandwiches and treated so nicely. In fact, I can't imagine they would put themselves in a situation where they'd get kidnapped by Hamas because they know they're probably going to be treated nicely by the Israelis. But one of my first thoughts, like Trump, is that, this is something about Greta, right? She can't help it. She is just a radical. When it came to climate change, she was willing to, say that this is the cause, the apocalyptic cause, and everything else has to step out of the way, and we have to do absolutely everything for this cause. Never mind if it means, like Just Stop Oil stopping ambulances from getting to hospitals and things like that, even if it means driving Western civilization into the ground because of Greta's cause. And it's the same thing here. You can see that she's just a radical, and she is a bit strange. She is.
Well, I wonder if she's being used on that, because Andy, I'll put this to you. I look, this is well documented. I'm certainly not having a go at her here. She's what I think the technical term is neurologically diverse. Okay, and I do wonder whether or not certain people on the left are using and abusing quite a young woman now, when she was previously a young girl doing all of this stuff, who is actually, in some cases, mentally vulnerable. The left are prepared to use her for that.
I don't know. I think she always comes across reasonably intelligent. I mean, she's a good speaker. She clearly researches things and kind of takes her time on this kind of thing. But, I mean, getting to the core point, I think, the line was, is this a PR kind of stunt? I mean, yes, obviously, that's what activism is. Activism is all about PR and advocacy. This, has raised more attention towards the Palestinian cause than a lot of things have recently. And this isn't the... Well, this isn't the first...
I'll get your view on this. Hasn't it backfired? Because they allowed the Israelis to turn up and treat them very, very nicely and then deliver the aid into Gaza, which turns out there wasn't that much of it, and then just be friendly towards them and deport them home. I mean,
well, I don't know about that.
Monsters,
I mean, they
Israelis.
Illegally boarded the boat. The boat was in international waters. The IDF covered it in some kind of white liquid, flew drones next to it, and then came aboard. That is a violation of international maritime law. Like the IDF, again, did break the law. And this isn't the first flotilla. They've been sending, Palestinian solidarity flotillas to Gaza and to that area of the world since 2010. I think there have been 8 or 9 that have gone. So this isn't a new fad. It is publicity.
I just wonder if this was the day that the Greta dream died, really. I mean, what's the point of listening to this girl anymore?
Well, look, I think the British public are getting a bit wise to celebrities coming out and are beginning to question the true motivation of them virtue signalling in this sort of space. You saw the same with Dawn French's comments in relation to Gaza and what she described as a bit of a thing, the murder of people by Hamas. And there's been such a huge and really quick backlash against that. I hope some of these celebrities who may, I don't want to judge them, maybe for the right reasons, think, I can lend the pizzazz and the riz of my celebrity to try and raise the profile of this. I'm not as old as you think, riz. The riz of my celebrity to try and raise the profile of this. Might just think twice and actually bother to do a bit of research, might try and inform themselves about the issue before they start virtue signalling about it. And I think that's what Greta's probably sped up. And
I think she actually owes the Israeli Defence Forces quite a lot of thanks, because if they let her get to Gaza, goodness only knows what would happen to her.
I know, you want to get kidnapped by the IDF rather than by Hamas.
Yeah, right.
I think that these celebrities, they're basking in the light of their own halos. Everybody can see it. It's like the emperor's got no clothes. People are completely sick of it. And like you mentioned, Dawn French, I mean, that clip was absolutely despicable. It was disgusting. And they think that they're making themselves look good, but they're making themselves look morally gross.
Well, what do you think about that? Do you think Greta Thunberg looks morally gross?
No, I think most people won't really have a negative view of her on this. I think people's view won't have changed. I think really the key thing is that there is a blockade, that innocent civilians are starving in Gaza. They were trying to do something about it, and in response, the IDF.
Right, because
and in response,
through Egypt.
No.
Why not?
Well, the Egypt crossings.
The Israelis run the Egypt border.
The IDF have a complete.
The Israelis run the Egypt border.
A completely legitimate concern about illegal weapons coming in via the sea to Hamas, a group that has the destruction of Israel in its founding principles. They have a legitimate, concern about that. That is why they won't let aid into our Gaza until they have screened it for weapons or weapons components. But we have learned this week that now, in combination with the Americans, they are sending thousands of aid shipments into Gaza. No one with a brain doesn't want that to happen. People don't want to see women and children and young people and men starving to death in the Gaza Strip. They are allowing aid to get through now. They should be allowing more, absolutely, but they cannot have these unchecked, untested aid convoys come in with potential weapons that can be used against the Israeli state.
Well, I mean, to put it in a British context, right? If the IRA came back, would we shut off all food, all water to Belfast just in case? Would we do that?
The Israelis say they're not doing that.
Well, I mean, they are doing that. It's objective that they are doing that.
So you think they're lying about every single aid delivery into Gaza?
Well, I think, they're stopping, 96, 97% of the aid packages going into Gaza? Yeah, I think the IDF are breaking international law, yes.
It would be insane after what happened on October 7th for them to just simply, allow things to come and go across Gaza. It would be insane.
History didn't start in October of 2023. Oh, okay. This does predate October 2023.
Yeah. I mean, I do think this was supposed to be a monumental moment of triumph for Greta and all of those people on that boat, wasn't it? And I don't think that they expected that would culminate in them being boarded by Israeli forces, offered water and sandwiches, taken for what is essentially a bit of a holiday somewhere in Tel Aviv. Apparently, this is according to some reports that have landed just before I came on air, they were made to watch the video footage of the October 7th massacre.
That's what an Israeli general said. It was breaking news today. It is I have seen part of it. It is very, very harrowing. We need to understand what happened on October 7th before we can make any form of value judgment about Hamas. That is not the same thing as saying we aren't deeply concerned about people in Gaza. I am. I think everyone with a heart is. But you need to understand what happened on October 7th before you make value judgments.
All right. Well, look, we wait with bated breath for another update from Greta Thunberg. We'll have to wait and see what happens there. But I do think there was a lot of footage there that was really quite revealing about the kind of performative Instagram, TikTok nature of their cause versus reality, really.